Hi, I'm Lisa Wimberger, and welcome to my show, Unlock Hope. As an entrepreneur and founder of the Neurosculpting Institute, I have worked with thousands of clients in helping them work through emotional and physical challenges. Your brain is more powerful than you would ever believe, and I can teach you to work through issues like anxiety, depression, and even physical challenges, and for once, unlock hope in your future. I've worked with some incredible humans like pro athletes and wellness leaders, and I'll be bringing you tools and tips to help you overcome those big issues in your life, as well as introducing you to some very successful people in other complementary areas of wellness. So please join me each week as we help you and others find the joy in your life. Welcome to Unlock Hope. I think hope and hopelessness have many, many definitions. And I think they change from moment to moment. And I think their expression is different moment to moment. So the first time that I really understood hopelessness was right after I came out of surgery after almost losing my eyesight in my right eye. So I'm going to paint the picture. I was 11 and my brother and I were playing in my room. And this was also the first time I actually remember having a premonition, an accurate premonition. So we're playing in my room and he's playing with his belt buckle and he's snapping it, and these little stuffed animals are on the belt or spiraling up and they're hitting the ceiling, and we're laughing wildly, and it's like this crazy helicopter ride for these little stuffed animals. And he reaches for my hair clip. He's going to put that on the belt and snap the buckle and spark this clip to hit the ceiling. And these were I'm dating myself here, but this was back in the late 70s, early 80s, where the hair clips were these combs, these metal combs, and you'd stick them in your hair. And so it was very sharp edges. And he put the clip on the belt buckle, and I had this premonition. And I felt through my whole body that this was going to be really, really bad. And I started screaming and screaming as though something already happened to me, even though it hadn't yet. And I'm screaming, stop, stop, stop. And of course I look like I'm overreacting. And I run into the corner of my room and I hide my face and my eyes, and I'm facing the corner of the room and I'm screaming, stop, that's going to go in my eye. And he snaps the belt buckle. And this metal clip becomes like a Chinese star, and it starts to spiral. And instead of going up, it shoots across the room, somehow ricochets off the corner and slices my right eye, my iris, and my cornea. And I'm frozen. I'm frozen. And I drop to my knees and I can't breathe. And I remember chaos all around me. And I remember my parents coming up and lots of screaming. And I remember my mother dragging me into the bathroom, trying to get my hand off my eye. I would not let her look at it. I wouldn't let her touch it. And I was just screaming and fighting, and then eventually completely frozen. And that was the first time actually going to bed that I also remember having a real out-of-body experience, because my mother sat next to my bed the whole night. She was holding my hands so that I wouldn't touch my eyes. And I remember watching her, watching us, me, from what seemed like far, far away. And they take me to the doctor the next day, and I'm feeling much better. I can open my eye and I'm feeling hopeful. Ooh, this wasn't so bad, right? I'm like, oh yeah, that's what hope feels like. I'm getting better, and we go into the doctor's office and they examine me and they don't say anything, and they put me in the waiting room as they're, I guess, conferring or deciding what to do with me. And I'm thinking everything's going to be fine. And so is my mother. And this other woman goes in with her son, and he has his exam, and he comes out. And my mother, being the super gregarious woman she was, says, how is your son? And the lady said, oh, thank God he's good. Far better than that little girl that was in there just before him. Oh, that little girl was me. And now my heart drops and sinks. And it was the first experience in the moment of the rug being pulled out from under me. It's my first discernible moment of that. The rug is pulled out from under me. I'm in bad shape. I don't know yet what's going to happen, but it's about to happen. And the doctor then brings us back in and says I have to go in for immediate eye surgery to save my sight and possibly my eye. I don't know. Turns out I don't remember much beyond that. I don't remember the surgery. I was in the hospital for 4 days, I believe. I don't remember getting surgery. I remember coming home completely hopeless. I had stitching my cornea back together. I wasn't allowed to open my eye. It was taped shut. And I remember this is the moment of I'm completely frozen. I am no longer in my body. I do not have control over the world around me. I don't have control over my future. This was the moment of true hopelessness, where I went so far deep inside that I could not even feel anything. In fact, it was way too scary to feel anything because it would just validate more hopelessness. So I looked really calm and put together. And I remember walking in the house. Again, these memories, even as I'm saying them to you right now, these memories are as though I were watching. I'm describing this not from inside myself, I'm describing this because when I remember it, I'm witnessing it as though I were in the living room watching me enter the house. So I have no, it almost feels like I have no first person way to describe this, even though I'm telling you what happened to me. I remember watching myself walk into the house and take off my coat and hang it up in the closet. All I wanted was a glass of orange juice. It's all I remember wanting from inside my body. But I remember hearing something which profoundly illuminated what would be the disconnect for decades. I remember hearing my mother and father say, she's hanging up her coat. Look at how responsible she is. She should be tired and crying and exhausted. And instead, she's going out of her way to hang up her coat. What a brave and grounded girl. And I remember thinking, you gotta freaking be kidding me. Do you not see how absolutely frozen I am? I'm not grounded. I'm not together. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. People, I'm not okay. I don't know if I'm going to be blind. I'm not okay. But I was calm and I had no affect and I was an automaton. I felt like a machine. This is hopelessness. At that moment, that's what my definition of hopelessness was. I am so disconnected from feeling anything that I'm moving about my day like a robot. And now I'm getting praise for it. And I go back to school. I think I was allowed back to school a week later. I had to wear a tremendous patch over my right eye, keeping it closed. And I had tape that went from one side of my forehead all the way diagonally across down to like my chin on the other side. And it was this big plastic thing, a cup over my face. So my whole half of my face was covered. Um, and so I remember just the left side of my face could interact with the world for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'm frozen at school and everyone's calling me brave. And I don't know who they're talking to because it's definitely not me. I might have felt brave if I could feel anything, but I don't. I'm frozen. And I don't know when I'm going to thaw out. And that sucked. And so weeks go by, and maybe I thaw a little bit, and maybe I go back to life a little bit, and eventually I get the stitches cut out of my eye, 2 at a time over the course of days, weeks. And I would say by the end of 5th grade, I had 2 working eyes again. And I think I've processed, right? I think I've used my tools to process all of this. And then about 3 summers ago, I'm at my kitchen. And this is the moment I realized what hope tasted like. Because I'm at my kitchen sink and I'm opening a jar that had been in the cabinet for way too long, a mason jar. Hot air in that mason jar. And I go to twist the lid and it explodes. And the metal plate of the mason jar lid starts to spiral like a Chinese star. And it comes at me right at my eye. And I move my head out of the way and I can hear it fly right by. Now, mind you, my accident was when I was 11. And this incident with the mason jar is happening when I'm 50. And it flies right by my head. And out of decades of frozenness, all of the emotions of my 11-year-old self come out. And I'm grabbing the sink and I'm hyperventilating like I was just hurt. And I'm crying and I'm inconsolable. And I'm shaking and I'm sweating. And my husband is not knowing what to do because clearly nothing happened to me, but I'm having this complete and utter moment. And it's funny because my eye, I don't know if you're watching this video and you can see it, my eyelid is twitching right now. This is what the body does. We hold the memories, right? And if we can't process the memories, then we have no choice but to pretend they didn't happen or to freeze around them and become hopeless that we can never process them. And here I was in my kitchen sink processing decades of frozenness around this experience. And while it might have looked scary and traumatic and ugly, again, I don't know if you can see my eye is going, I could process it. It came out. And that's when I felt what hope tasted like. So yes, hope has many forms. And in this particular instance, hope tasted like the release of everything I had been holding. The permission to be ugly and messy and scared and vulnerable and crying and inconsolable. I should have done that when I was 11. And I couldn't. But I did that at the kitchen sink when I was 50. And that was the validation of hope. Hope that you can, at any point in time, change things. So, what do? How do I process this, right? Well, I let it come out. I let myself be ugly with it. And then I start to breathe. And then more than anything, I do my shaking practice, right? I shake through it. I shake out all of that adrenaline. I shake out all of that elevated heart rate. Even now, as I'm saying it, I can feel it. I can feel the heat and I can feel the urge to twitch it out. And that is hope for me. Oh my God, that is the validation that I can go in at any moment into my nervous system and I can put closure to things unclosed. I can awaken things that are frozen and move them out. And I can make space in this body for what's next. So, frozen for me was hopeless, and feeling for me was hopeful, even though what I was feeling was so messy. I remember finally being done crying and going, I did it. I did it. I got that story out. That took 40 years. That took like 40 years. 40 years to unwind that stuck thing and let it dissipate out into the air so that I could make space. This is what hope does, right? Hope is the capacity to adapt and change. That for me is what hope is. So being stuck and unchanging or unable to process, to make room for myself, that's hopeless. And the capacity to move things and feel them and adapt and let them go or resolve them, that is hope. And so does it need to take decades for everything? No, I can move things faster in some respects. You can move things faster, but truthfully, there are locked pieces of you right now that needed to hear this. So that maybe next week, next month, next year, you can move something and fix yourself in a way to make space. Not fix anything because it's wrong, but like, you know, when you say like, I'm going to fix dinner, I'm going to take the ingredients and fix dinner, that means fix them together, like glue them together is how I mean when I use the word fix. So you can take your parts and pieces and fix them together, put them together, remembering yourself by letting the frozen parts come out. It's messy. It's so messy sometimes being a human. I like to sometimes, keep it all together. I like to look calm. I like to have people say, wow, she's so grounded, But the truth is, most of that at this point in my life is real groundedness. Some of that is frozenness. And they look real similar. So buyer beware. Don't be confused by the similarity in outward appearance between frozen hopelessness and flat, grounded equanimity. They're different. And I had to practically lose my right eye to figure it out. Yeah. More to come on the eye front, because apparently I had a theme in this lifetime where losing my vision was just a part of the equation. But that was a different kind of hopefulness. So more on another journey through eyes later. But for now, I want to give you two things that you can take with you to spark hope. First thing is, let your body feel things. So if you're a frozen person, or if you're a feeling person, maybe you want to let your body feel more to move things out and not grip around it. And so for me, that's my shaking practice. That's like jittery shakes. Shake your whole body. Bring a feeling sense back to the body, because the body knows what to do to move stress. It wants to tremor out the muscles. So that's the first thing, the first takeaway that I would give you. Wish I had known that when I was 11. Maybe I would have shaken a bit and processed all of that much sooner. And the second thing I would invite is just this idea that hope's not outside of you. It's an energy inside that looks like different things at different times. But I would convert this idea of hope into this idea that it is a usable energy for adaptation. That's what hope is. It's the practice that this moment can change into something different in the next moment. That's what hope is for me. And keeping that in the back of my mind helps me. And so those are the two things that I want you to do. And I don't want you to just keep them as theoretical things. You got to do them, people. You have to actually shake your body, and you have to actually spend time creating a relationship with the part of you that can move you to adaptation. There's lots of things in our world around us that are unfair and happen to us. There's plenty of that. But that's not your power. That's not where your power lives. In fact, the more you focus on that, that's where your power is siphoned. It's in here. It's in here. It's the capacity to move things and shift things and adapt around things and take your disengaged parts and pieces and fix them together. Remember them. That's hope. That's what I want you to leave with. Make it a practice, people. Without a practice, it's just theory. And theory's great, but doesn't really make change. So make it a practice. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Unlock Hope. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at Neurosculpting Institute on Facebook, at Neurosculpting on Instagram. You can always reach out to us on our website, neurosculpting.com, and you can download our app, Neuropraxis. Stay well, everybody.